you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Brightree Wealth Management. That's right. We were Brightree Financial Group. I've changed the name to Brightree Wealth Management. And man, I hope you are having a fantastic day. I'm pretty excited to be sharing today's show with you. And I've taken a little bit of a break, been traveling quite a bit here lately, and really just wanted to hit you up with this show. And the title of today's show is The Greatest Investment Strategy Ever Invented. That's right, the greatest investment strategy ever invented. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about my month. Took some time away just to travel and celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary, and got to go to one of my favorite places of all time, and that's Japan. Had a really nice trip. Got to see family, and just got to experience some really, really, really neat things. And I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to talk to you about next. And it's not easy, coming up with legitimate things to talk about. People be making up stuff. And I don't want to be that guy, like always making up something to talk about. Like, no, I want to talk to you about like legitimate stuff that will help you get in the 3%, right? 97% will retire without enough to live on. That'll, last them entire lives, but only 3% do. So we gotta get you to the 3%. All right. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. The first thing I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of a market update. And at the beginning of the year, man, this thing was just like, it was like crazy. And then we had the Iran situation. They went in and attacked Israel, and they did all these things, and Israel fought back, and it's just left and right, left and right, left and right. And while I was on my trip, I started getting these questions like, hey, what's happening in the world? Like, what's happening to my portfolio? Like, we were up big and now we're down some. And I was like, well, you got a lot of cash in your portfolio, right? Yeah, well, we're good. Look, honestly, it does not matter what happens in the world. And, when you see things like that happening, it's an opportunity. So before my trip, I had thought about where are we headed, right? Bond yields are creeping up again. Bad sign. Anytime bond yields start to creep up, bad sign. You got to start to put some on the table, because it's going to present some, take some off the table, put some cash in your pocket and your portfolio. Because anytime you start seeing bond yields creep up, that's not good. And you don't know what's going to follow behind that. It just sets the table for like disaster. And like, if you're sitting there like being optimistic all the time and you don't pay attention to the greatest investment strategy ever, man, it's going to be hard getting into the 3%. And I'm going to kind of tell you what that greatest investment strategy here is in a minute. But we have the Fed chair coming out talking about interest rates. We got people coming out like hyping up, saying all kinds of things like, yeah, the Fed is probably going to have to hike interest rates again, and on and on and on and on and on. I'm telling you, I've studied these charts. Okay. I've studied these charts. And even back 08, 09, like 07, the Fed did not raise interest rates even though inflation was going back up, because the long-term trend of inflation was to the downside. You know what it is? It's clickbait. And, people out there trying to get ratings and saying all kinds of like hyperbolic stuff to like hype you up and scare you. And like, man, Fed's going to they may raise rates again. Like, oh man, like, no, I don't think so, and for the ones who say that, like, I don't, sometimes I have to question their professionalism and like, what is their true motive? Because I don't think the Fed's going to raise rates, not based on what I've seen and not, in the history or even what I see right now. I just don't see it. And so we've got our clients in a position where there's still a bunch of cash in the portfolio, slowly starting to put that money back to work, because I think that corporate buyback season, the window's about to open so companies can start buying back their stock. And I think is going to be a great thing. The last 2 weeks of April, when you see the market just tanking like that, it's just because there is no corporate buybacks going on. They are not allowed to buy back their stocks in a certain window. So you just don't have that influx of cash coming into the market. And then you had people sitting on the sidelines because, bond yields are going up, especially the smart guys anyway, just kind of waiting on things to kind of settle down. And and that's just going to lead me into this topic of the greatest investment strategy ever. And you've heard it. It is buy low, sell high. Buy low, sell high. Now, this is not going to be a long show, but it is going to be a show that you need to think about what you're doing in your portfolio. And if buy low, sell high is the greatest investment strategy ever, then why is it so hard for so many people to pull off? And I'm going to talk to you about what happened to me. So I aggressively invest my portfolio. I had sold every single stock in my portfolio. I believe it was in 2022. And I went hard in options on those same stocks. I went hard. I mean, real hard. Okay. And one of my portfolios, I think it went down to like 200 and like $93,000 in just one of my portfolios. And this is my most aggressive portfolio. And I kid you not, by July of 2023, that portfolio was almost $1 million, right? And then something happened. I said, honey, look, we have like grown this thing like gangbusters. I think we should like take some off the table. And I said, what do you think? She's like, well, they go up and down, they go up and down. So you don't need to hurry and sell it. But again, I failed to pay attention to this one thing. The bond yields were spiking. And I was like, okay, you know what's going to happen when bond yields spike, right? Stuff is going to go backwards. Man, sure enough, like all my Tesla options, like I had to start selling stuff because these guys turn into hot garbage, right? No, I'm going to tell you primarily, I knew I was supposed to sell that portfolio, but there was one reason why I didn't sell it. And I will tell you what it is in a minute. Okay. The first reason why people don't buy low and sell high is out of fear. When the market is red and everybody's hair is on fire, everyone turns into a turtle, sticks their head into a shell, and they go away, right? Why? Because no one wants to be buying a stock. Well, I can't say no one because the ones who pull it off, that's exactly what they do. When the stock is down, it is bleeding to death. They go in there and they scoop it up. And one of the things we created was a strategy called scoop and score. And basically what it is we run the numbers on certain stocks, and when we see them get beat up, we go in and we buy short dated options on them. And when it starts to recover in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we can be up 100%. Just, and you cash out and you run, you take that scoop and score is what you do. But a lot of people won't do it because they're afraid. And a lot of times for myself and my clients' portfolio, that's exactly what I'm doing when, there's enough cash in there that I'm buying these things on the dip. And that's another strategy where they say buy the dip. But a lot of people don't do that. They don't buy the dip. And as I was talking to JR, he does my podcast show. Shout out to JR. I said, JR, it's like I tell a friend, hey, Macy's are selling suits, and they got suits that are on sale. These Bernini suits, like 2Gs, like they're down to like 500. And the friend comes back and says, I'm not buying that suit at 500. I'm going to wait until it gets back to 1,000. Like, something must be wrong with that suit, Why is it so cheap? And a lot of people look at the market like that. And I'm telling you, that is the time that you analyze these positions. And if they are bleeding, you go in there and then you update your strategy, right? The number two reason why people don't buy low and sell high, greed. They think it's just going to keep going up and going up and going up and going up. As I've heard it said, trees don't grow to the sky. Trees don't grow to the sky. Eventually they stop, they die, and they fall back down to the ground and they fertilize the earth, you know? And that was Probably one of the reasons why I didn't sell my portfolio when it was like skyrocketing like that. But there's another reason. Okay. Number two, greed. They think it's going to keep going higher and higher and higher and higher. Now, here's the real reason why I did not sell my portfolio when it was going gangbusters. Taxes. That's right. Taxes. I was up, right? $700,000 in profit. 700K, right? And when I ran the numbers and I looked at my income along with that extra 700K, yeah, I'm in the highest tax bracket and it doesn't feel good. And I'm like, if I sell now, my tax bill is going to be humongous, right? And I was short sighted with that. I was very short sighted. And the next time around, what I did is I put stops in my portfolio that if my positions went below a certain number, they automatically got stopped out. And, taxes be damn, right? Like, if I got to pay them, I got to pay them. But I am not losing all that profit again. And that's what I did this time around. My portfolio went to the moon. I mean, it exploded again because I did the same strategy. And I've done that same strategy with my clients. And I met a man one day who said, I didn't sell my portfolio. I was up $3.5 million in profit and I didn't sell my options because of taxes. I just didn't want to give all that money over to the IRS. And I'm like, bro, wow. And so for me, after I heard that, and that was like, I don't know, 2023 sometime. And it was like right around the time that I was like sitting there like, hey, should I sell my stuff or not? Like kind of debating back and forth. And I ran into this guy and I did not get the hint like, yo, look, okay, you can't be stupid like that. You got to sell the stuff next time. And that's exactly what I did. But, and I've done that for my clients. But here's the issue. Okay. Here's the issue. And if you're a client, like, I love you. You know that, right? Like, I'm not saying this in a negative way. I love all my clients. They're like my family. Okay. And I bust my tail for them and I do what I can. Right. And here are some things that have happened. I'll have clients go to their tax person to do their taxes. Okay. And I don't know what it is about tax people, but they pride themselves on like not owing anything to the IRS at the end of the year. Like, I don't know what that is. And not owing anything to the IRS is not the mindset of the 3%. I'm going to tell you that right now. Not owing anything to the IRS is not the mindset of the 3%. Okay. So the tax person says, oh my God, all these short term like capital gains. Oh my God, that's going to count towards you as earned income. Like, you're going to need to pay another $30,000 in taxes this year. And their hearts just like sink like, oh my God, where's this $30,000 in tax money going to come from? Like, oh my God. And what they're failing to realize is open up your portfolio, look at your gain, and understand this one thing. If you're going to be successful, we have to sell high, take the profits, pay the taxes, and then wait for the opportune time and do it all over again. Because eventually you're going to come out ahead. Now, I'm not saying that this is true with every single position, but it has been true on the scoop and score. Nvidia went to the moon and we were buying options last year on Nvidia like crazy. I mean, we had 10, 15, $20 million in Nvidia options, like, and that's just part of our portfolio. Okay. I'm telling you, it was just stupid crazy. Went to the moon and then, Nvidia started to like sell off like crazy and we were up like 400%. And we had to take profits because we got stopped out. Could I have let those positions run longer? Yeah, but that's not the strategy. And we took all that profit, put it in cash. And so when Iran started acting up, we had a ton of cash. We had like 20% plus of our clients' portfolios like sitting in cash for some of them anyway, or for a large portion. So they weren't that greatly affected. And I tell you, I kid you not, within like a week and a half, we were back to where we were before Iran started acting up for most of the portfolios, right? Except the ones who called and complained and sold their stuff. That happens. And, from now on, when a client calls me and they complain to me about what's going on in the market and they want to sell stuff, that's when I tell them, you know what, we've talked about this a gazillion times. I think that you need to find another advisor because my strategy of getting you to the 3% doesn't work for you. Okay. You're not comfortable with that. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. But one of the things is when you file your taxes and you're sitting there, you have to tell your tax person that, hey, my financial guy, my investment guy, he's doing a great job. That's why we have this income. And I've told him that I don't mind paying taxes. Now, if you're a client and you do mind paying taxes, we can do something about that. We can not grow your money like that. We can put it in a buy and hold position and never sell it, but you're going to have to ride the ups and downs if you don't want to pay the taxes. And that's the issue. I told somebody that before and they were, kind of complaining about, hey, I have to pay all these taxes. And I said, look, would you rather have me held and it bleed to death while you're sitting there not wanting to pay taxes or what? Like pay the tax, take the money. Either you take it out of the portfolio and use it, or we sit there and wait for the opportunity to buy low, right? So if you want to get into 3%, you got to do that. Instruct your tax person. This is the game. We're going to be paying estimated taxes for you this year, so it's not going to be a problem next year. And I think that's one of the things that caught everybody off guard. Like on your investment portfolios, it's hard to tell, like literally, how much capital gains you're going to pay until the end of the year. And so one of the things we do is we start sending out estimated tax payments to the federal and then to the state that you're in to help offset that. But we don't want to pay too much, just simply because of the fact that if the market does go down and we do take losses, it's going to even out and we don't have to worry about that. But we want to educate the tax professional, right? And if your tax professional cannot be educated, you got to find one that can. Because I'm telling you, getting in at 3% is not easy. And not a lot of tax professionals are in the 3%. Not until they turn like 70 years of age. Because a lot of them, they're very conservative. I don't know of too many super aggressive tax professionals because their whole mindset is not owing anything to the IRS. Like, if you want to be rich, you're going to pay taxes to the IRS. That's just part of the game. And we got to learn how to play it, not how to duck and dodge it, but do what we need to do to get to the 3%. So thanks for letting me share that with you today. Looking forward to sharing more things with you in the future. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.